Hello there, shit. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. You know what? I'm actually gonna leave that in because that was quite funny. Anyways, today we're gonna talk about 7.2 and why I personally believe that 7.2 is probably the closest thing that we have gotten to a flawless content. Now we have gotten strong contenders at a time for exceptionally great piece of content. Namely, Variant 4 comes to mind. I could hardly find any fault with Variant 4 except for the very last quest. Most importantly, the 1-star iHulk quest, 1-star iHulk path. But the more I think about it, the entire 1-star quest was just dull and boring comparatively to the rest of it. But 7.2 was really incredibly fun. I absolutely loved 7.1. 7.2 felt even better. Let me explain to you why I love content such as 7.2 so much. First of all, we still have the comparison of Act 6 compared to Act 7. And Act 6 had drastically different approach, and it was much more punishing, much more painful content. And on a personal level, I do like that type of content. I can guarantee you I enjoyed Act 6 more than vast majority of the people did. A ton of stuff in Act 6 is great. But I don't think that is the type of tone that we should have in story content. Story content should be about your progression, about your knowledge about the game, not necessarily you being pushed to the very edge. We should have Everest content for that. We should have special challenges for that, like arenas, objectives, so on and so forth, where the best is demanded from you. Now, Karina's challenges definitely had their own flaws, but at large, I think it's a perfect idea to challenge the endgame people, where developers don't have to spend a lot of time, but endgame players can spend a lot of time trying to complete these challenges. And Labyrinth challenges aside, I think the rest of them are pretty much amazing, except Mike's Revenge. That one can go and suck a fat one. Right. So that is what I think. I like that Act 7 focuses more on knowledge about the game and champion abilities rather than having a flawless fight. In Act 7.1 and 7.2, you can quite frequently make a mistake, get tagged here and there, and does not mean that you're going to get stuck. In Act 7.2 or 7.1, I didn't find a single lane where you had to have the one champion that will work. And on top of that, every single quest definitely have significantly easier or let's say more cheesable lanes. As an example, I'm going to go into a random quest. I don't know, let's go into quest 5. And I seem to recall that quest 5 was one of the harder ones. Where most quests had like 3 or 4 lanes that were extremely easy. 5 was, let's say, somewhat harder. But even this quest, with that debuff synthesis, weakness, and stun, that's gonna sting and power focus 2, is perfectly doable if you have access to Spider Ham, Yellow Jacket, or Mr. Fantastic Synergy. Done. Yes, of course, you can play with the weakness debuffs as well. Therefore, at that point, Mortal Abomination can become a very valuable option, so on and so forth. But the lane was relatively easy if you had access for the needed champions, or you knew how to play around them with the extra help from the nodes provided. Now, the Surging Vengeance Tyranny node, nothing too special, not the most exciting one. Rage, Power, Shield, Poison, Vulnerability, perfect. You have Mortal Abomination, you can rush through that one, not much problem at all. Let's go to the right side. We have Energy Adoption Lightning, and that's all you need. Energy Adoption Lightning, you immediately have at least 4 champions that can cheese the crap out of this path. I mean Silver Surfer, I mean Havoc, I mean Kingpin with Hood Synergy, I mean Ghost, most importantly, can absolutely blitz through this line. Very easy completion. And every single quest had like an easy way out, and then you have more intricate, more tricky, some harder lanes, but with also relatively interesting interactions. Even though I rushed through 7.2, even rushing through, I couldn't help but to stop and appreciate the interactions. I often redid path, took in several champions just to play about it on purpose, and I will redo all of 7.2 100% again. Partially because obviously it makes for good content on YouTube channel, but also definitely because I enjoyed it a lot. I just want to play around with it. I want to sit down and have fun with it because it's a great piece of content. So I like that shift from content being extremely punishing to content being rewarding for your knowledge. So that's a wonderful shift, and I think at 7.1 they did a great job with that, and in 7.2 they took it to the step above. It's hard for me to imagine them ever releasing kind of like more better, witty, and rewarding chapter. I hope they do 7.3. So definite hats off to that. I also like the new boss structure. First of all, every single boss is doable. We don't have the initial problems of that Nightmare Iron Man Infinity Wars with Plagued Mine and everything else with super jacked attacks, so on and so forth. We have some trickier bosses, we have some easier bosses, like even this one. Okay, Void has Force of Will and Safeguard, but he had this setup and Spike node, which also can help you deal more damage. That in fact is pretty much the name of the game with every boss and most of the lanes, where if you do things the right way and you have multitude of champions available, you can get ahead quicker, you do more damage. And that helps offset these huge health pulls, and that makes the content feel rapid, fast, and I love it. Every single boss in every chapter has some cool, cheesy counter modes available. This platinum pool, you can choose to play according to the rules and just try and debuff the crap out of him, and he's gonna degen himself to death. Or you can choose to work around the node outside of what was intended with passive heal block stuff, and eventually you're gonna win. Choose whichever way you want to go about it, and you're gonna do great. And yeah, I like that. And also the fact that you could pick the boss that you find the easiest for your roster and do that 4 times, and then whichever ones you were not so keen on, you only have to do once. That's also a great additional kind of like level of enjoyment, I don't know, bone given to the players. Call it as you will, but it just felt great. 7.2 felt like a fun, interactive piece of content that's not out there to get you. Now, I rushed through it. I used a handful of items. You can definitely do it itemless if you do it slowly, if you have a big roster. If you don't, with a handful of revives, you can push through it for sure, even if you are lacking the best options. So, all in all, design-wise, the path, the boss fights, I absolutely love. Now, I don't think this is a perfect piece of content, which we're going to talk about soon, but before that, we need to talk about Gwenpool boss. And Gwenpool boss, again, is more fun and interesting version of Grandmaster, because every single phase is quicker. You don't have to spend as much time fighting Gwenpool as normally you have fighting Grandmaster. There's one path where you can absolutely humiliate the Gwenpool boss, and that is when you take down this Mixmaster node, you get some insane furies, and even a moderately skillful player can solo this lady with pretty much anyone. And I mean anyone. And I know Grandmaster can be soloed with anyone, but this lady can definitely be done with pretty much anyone. So I like that. The only issue I have with Gwenpool, and it's more of an annoyance, and the further the time goes, the less it is going to matter. But the annoying part about the Gwenpool boss came from Gwenpool having 79 paragraphs of abilities and we not having access to it. That was extremely kind of frustrating thing. Now I'm going to put aside the idea that the same people who tested Gwenpool fight beforehand can run the Legends runs, because that is what it is. And again, life's never fair. But at the same time, Gwenpool had such an overwhelming amount of text in that fight, and without understanding what you have to do, you have no chance in that fight. So that is the first nitpick there immediately that I have, that they should have released Gwenpool's abilities at least a week prior, so people would have had time to read through, customize them, and know where they're heading into, if they are people such as myself that were running in the quest in the first place. Now, obviously, now at this point, I just uploaded a guide. I'm sure there are people, plenty of videos and solos and advices, and you know that. And the longer the time goes, the less this problem matters. But I still do believe that initially this information should have had been available, so people don't have to stop whatever they are doing in the middle of the run and start reading a Bible for 15 minutes. They should have given us those 15 minutes a week in advance, so whenever we have the time, we can just familiarize ourselves with the fight. But again, that is not a big issue, especially it's not an issue if you're somebody who does it later on. And the one thing that really does let 7.2 down, the worst thing about 7.2, the moment I explored it, I didn't really have anything for it. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that the rewards for 7.2 are atrocious or anything like that. I do think they are lazy. I do think this is the first time we have had pretty much no increase at all whatsoever from 7.1, and that is definitely a huge step backwards, and largely kind of spoiled the piece of content. I would give this piece of content pretty much 10 out of 10 as the perfect piece of content if the rewards would feel appropriate. Now, I'm not even talking about the amount of stuff that we got from it. Because technically, if we pretend that I don't know what the 7.1 rewards are, I don't understand the fact that 7.2 is significantly harder than 7.1 was, and I take 7.1 out of equation, I don't think it's an awful set of rewards. But at the same time, there is very little to actually do with. You can open, 10 6-star signature stone crystals? Cool. I mean, they're signature stone crystals. They're important, but they're signature stone crystals. Then you can open 1 rank up gem crystal. Neat. Nobody has, I don't know, started screaming from the top of their lungs by pulling the class that they want or don't want. It's kind of like, okay. Selector, you know exactly what's going to be in it. There's no excitement for that. And then we have a couple of 25% TF5CC catalyst crystals, which is, again, good reward, but it's nothing really exciting. So in terms of stuff that you can actually open, as in like your achievement, there's only 10,000 shards in completion. There's about 9 or 7,000 shards throughout the maps. And then there's 1 Nexus crystal. And that's it. So the rewards unfortunately felt really, really flat. Now, I might partially be saying that because I just got extremely unlucky. I didn't pull anything helpful for my account from these rewards, aside from the guaranteed materials which I was counting on. But the idea that there is very little in terms of exciting materials, I think, is a problem. And obviously, there is a problem of the amount of the shards themselves as well. You do want to see more of that stuff. Especially you want to see progression from the previous chapter. But again, even the lack of progression put aside, my biggest issue with 7.1 rewards and these rewards are that they just feel flat. There's not much excitement to it. There's plenty of guaranteed value in them. They just don't feel exciting. They should definitely add some more 6-star shards, perhaps another Nexus crystal, or maybe a class Nexus, or something like that. Something that you get to spin, you get your dopamine levels up, and endorphins rising when you get. So, anyways, that's a nitpick. But as far as the content design goes, I am quite certain that this is my favorite piece of content right now in the game. I also believe it to be best and most appropriately designed piece of content. And anybody who's hesitant about it, I definitely do encourage you guys to try it, because there are so many paths, so many lanes, so many champion interactions that will just put a smile on your face. I remember I had been streaming for like 10 hours straight, pretty much, with like half-an-hour breaks. And I was tired, and I was knackered, and I was grumpy. But I couldn't help myself but to explode in smile and laughter when I was playing iHulk against Man-Thing Boss and some other things like that. Because there's some very, very incredible stuff. Obviously, I'm going to be uploading a lot of cool videos about it, and in fact, I do think that yeah, I'm gonna be trying to make a ton of videos about this piece of content, because the content itself, now that I have explored it, now that I can put the rewards aside, it's amazingly fun, and I can't wait to get back to it. I can't wait for more. And before somebody screams, I shouldn't explore all the content the day it comes out, I'm a YouTuber. That's what I do. Right? And I'm gonna explore it again, so don't you worry. Anyways, that is about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about 7.2. I love it. Honestly, the only letdown for me personally was the unexciting, unimaginative, flat rewards from it. Everything else I liked a lot. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about